Now I have a question for you. Do you remember this show? You know, late 2000s, weird orange-haired boy and his friends explore this place called the Soul Society? Well, that's Bleach. And if you're anything like me, that show also holds a very special place in your heart. It all started as a kid. Me and my little brother would watch this show as much as possible. But the day it all really changed was when we got a tablet. We became obsessed, watching it 3, 4, 5, probably so many more times. All through those weird YouTube videos where they show a fourth of the show in a teeny tiny corner. Bleach basically became our lives. Eventually though, that ended, as all things do. I went on to read more manga, he went on to watch more anime. Regardless, Bleach slowly became a thing of our past. By now, it's been over 10 years, but still, the show is constantly brought up in conversation. And recently I've been wondering, why haven't I just read the whole manga? As a kid, I read the volumes here and there, and I read the whole 1000-year Blood War arc right as it finished, but still, I've never sat down and read through the whole series. How could that happen? Well, I think it's actually really simple. I'm scared it's gonna ruin my nostalgia. What if I read through it, don't enjoy it, and I just can't think of these memories I hold so precious the same way? Well, okay. Enough with the dramatic intro. I started reading it like 3 months ago and I finished reading it last week. So I guess the question is, how has my nostalgia for Bleach changed? I have to open this short letter all about a piece of media that's so important to me by saying, I can't believe how much stuff about this series has changed for me with this read through. One revisit to something I haven't read, seen in like 10 years is bound to change some of my thoughts, yeah. But it was a complete change. It's not for the negative, don't think that. It's nowhere near a negative change. And I think to start it all, I just have to say how great of a writer Kubo is. Kubo writes in a way that's very subtle, deep, thoughtful, but all while keeping it understandable and in the package of a shonen battle manga. I can't help but think, what would Kubo be able to do with a monthly series? Weekly Shonen Jump is fine, but I feel like there are moments where he definitely wanted to do more. Still, off topic. His writing is beautiful. It was by far the biggest point that made the manga feel different compared to what I remember. The biggest example I can think of is probably the Fullbring arc, as my opinion completely changed. Being where the anime originally ended, kind of leaving it off at a weird point, it didn't feel that special. I didn't remember that much, and it just kinda sucked to me. But this time, seeing the twist unfold and unravel, and the complete emotional plunge Ichigo runs through all on paper, really showcased some of the things my childhood experience with the anime never even got close to capturing. My heart definitely holds my childhood Bleach journey as it being a fun battle anime, filled with cool moves, loud cool characters, but the manga almost has a completely different feel to it. I could have easily been too young to understand it, but I just can't imagine the anime holding up the same way. I can't imagine it being able to capture scenes like Yukiora in the heart as well as Kubo's own art and writing does. The emptiness Yukiora portrays with the heavy use of black ink is something only the manga can do. And I felt like that was the perfect way to portray him. I really felt like the whole time I was reading that Kubo was using his art form, it being on paper in a book, as an advantage in the best way he possibly can. Things like opening each volume to see a poem almost sets a tone before I even reach the first page. It's just things like that make the emotion of the work so much stronger, even though it's just on a piece of paper. It really left me wondering how it took me so long to experience Bleach this way. I really do think the writing of the manga is what allowed me to see the series in this completely new light, but in a way that's completely acceptable when I compare it to those old memories of the anime. Nothing in my new experience with the manga has trampled on those memories. It's almost added to them, added a new stage, and I think I can really owe that to me getting older. Growing older definitely has a lot to do with it, and it's amazing to feel that way. It's really cool to feel like a series gets better and better as you grow older and experience more. I can relate Bleach a lot to Fullmetal Alchemist in that way. Fullmetal Alchemist is a series I reread every couple of years because it seems to only get better with every read through. The feeling that I can relate more and more to the themes of that manga as I get older is something so special, and it's something I really felt like I experienced in this read through of Bleach. I can understand what it teaches because I'm old enough to understand. And if I pair that with everything I felt for the series over the years, well, it's a pretty good combo. It's a really unique feeling that I feel like not many series can bring. I'm sure if I read it again and do this whole thing over again in say like 10 years, it'll be the same, if not even better. My understanding of the characters and the plot itself also got so much smarter. I don't know if I should say smarter. It's more like I was actually able to try and understand, or maybe I just forgot. Regardless, I'm not a dumb kid anymore. I can understand everything a lot better. I can understand what a character's meant to mean, what they're meant to represent. And that happened to so many characters. So many characters have so much depth I was never really able to understand. But because of this read through the manga, well, there's a lot more appreciation and understanding for so much of the cast. I gotta give you guys an example though, and if I had to speak about one character in specific, it's gotta be Ichigo. Ichigo's always been really cool to me. That's something that's always been there. He has the hollow mask, so many good moments, and of course he's the main character. But I never really thought of him as much more. When I think of him compared to other characters I loved back then, he kind of just fades into the background. But this time, I left thinking that he's one of the better main characters I've experienced. One trait about him that I absolutely love and that stuck out to me is his selflessness. He doesn't have a crazy goal like most shonen main characters. Like Luffy from One Piece obviously wants to be the Pirate King. He talks about it all the time and that's his big goal. But Ichigo doesn't have anything like that. He gets power and he decides the second he gets that power, he will use it to help his friends, to keep them safe. It's not something insanely huge, something grand. And for that reason, it being really simple, it ends up being really refreshing. Ichigo's character is obviously far deeper than that. There's a lot that goes into him, so many moments where, yeah, you get it. If I get all into Ichigo, explain all that, this video will end up being hours long. And finally, to reach the end, the ending. What's changed? Well, all I can say is that years ago, when I read the ending originally, I remember being really upset. Not only did Rukia end up with Renji instead of Ichigo, but I didn't really understand how the Blood War arc was a conclusion to the series. But now, reading it with a completely fresh mind and all in one go, I felt like it all made perfect sense. First, to get the obvious out of the way, throughout my read, I constantly got the feeling that Rukia was far closer to being a big sister, not a love interest. I also was very satisfied with how the series wrapped up as a whole. My first read through of this arc was years ago, and it took place years after I had even seen anything about the anime, which led to my experience being really disconnected. And now back with the full read through, well, a lot has changed obviously. Yet again, I gotta repeat that I remember my childhood experience with Bleach being very loud, cool, and action-packed. I didn't really remember any of the deeper writing, if I could even understand it. And the final arc is that point where all of that writing, all this stuff that's been being built up, all this stuff you really gotta understand, concludes. Of course, if I wasn't keeping up or trying to understand it, it was gonna be really bad to me. But now with the full reread and the eagerness to see the series through, I finished reading it, and I actually really enjoyed the ending. After being a fan for such a long time of Bleach, and watching the anime so many times, having kind of a weird experience with the manga as a whole, to kind of sit down and read the whole thing in one go and properly experience the ending, was really good. I felt like the series wrapped up all the points it needed to, while keeping all the doors open if there was to be any more. And most of all, I felt like I had completed a journey, completed this journey all about my nostalgia. And I felt like it left a great note on all my childhood memories. I left feeling like Bleach grew with me. It really has only gotten better as I've grown older and better. It's such a beautiful thing to me, and something I won't forget in the same way I haven't forgotten those childhood memories and the nostalgia this series brings. And now I hope you get it. I feel like my point has been pushed. And I definitely don't want this to end up being a super long, couple hour long video about the whole series, every character, everything. Unless you guys want that. I don't know. I just want to tell you all a little bit about something that's really important to me from my childhood. It's not really a normal video I would do, a shorter video like this, but I don't know. It's good to switch it up sometimes, and I just kind of wanted to make this letter type video to myself. So that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys next time. Please show some support like you always do. I'll see you next time.